Okay, back to the dinim of tzitzis. If somebody takes off the tallis cotton, the tallis, but they're planning to put it back soon, so then they don't make a new bracha. What happens though if you take, and this can happen a lot by the way, what happens if you take off your tallis, and as far as you're thinking in your mind, that's it, I'm done davening, and then you want to put it back on, then you need to make a new bracha. This happens a lot by Rosh Chodesh, when you take off in the middle of davening, you take off your tefillin and then you put on Rabbeinu Tamsu or whatever, and then you take off your tefillin, and out of habit, you take off your tallis and you're going to fold it up. If the din is, if you take off your tallis willingly, then you have to make a new bracha when you put it back on for Musaf. Because when you took it off, that was it. So the first bracha is gone, done. Now you'd have to make a new bracha. Now what happens though, if somebody has the tallis also happens, you're wearing a tallis and all of a sudden it falls off completely. So a lot of opinions hold, if it's still a little bit on, you catch it, somehow, then you don't have to make a new bracha. What happens if you take it off, it falls off completely. You didn't take it off, it falls off. So then many poskim hold, you have to make a new bracha when you put it back on. Other poskim hold that, no, if you're wearing a tallis cotton, you don't need to make a new bracha on the tallis. If you're not wearing a tallis cotton, then the din is you have to make a new bracha if it falls off. Because again, you didn't know it was falling off, it just fell off. Or somebody pulled it off. So if you're not wearing tallis cotton, and you put down the tallis again, you're going to have to make a new bracha. If you're wearing a tallis cotton and it falls off, so there's a machlekes in poskim. So the poskim themselves, and this is our minig also, the poskim write that safek brachas halachos, so you don't make a new bracha. So our custom is if a tallis falls off and you're still wearing a tallis cotton, you don't make a new bracha. But if you take it off and you're thinking that's it, and then you realize you're davening musaf, so then you have to make a new bracha. To make a bracha on a new one, yeah. It's a different beged, a different garment. Technically, this is more so for Bachram, let's say. Let's say they're wearing a tallis cotton on Friday, and for Shabbos, they're putting on a different one, Shabbos sticker one. So halachically, they would have to make a new bracha on the tallis cotton because it's a different beged. Those who wear the tallis gadol, they don't make a new bracha because again, the bracha tallis covers everything.
Why isn't it the same thing?
Huh?
Why isn't it the same?
It's what?
Tallis, we make one bracha and it covers the tallis katan. So shouldn't the tallis katan, once you make a bracha on one, it's covered for the rest of the day?
No, because then you're wearing both at the same time. You're making a bracha. Here you're putting on a new tallis. If somebody, the same thing with tefillin, by the way. If somebody is wearing a pair of tefillin, and then they put on another pair of tefillin. I'll give you a simple example for yeshiva brachim. This would be where they would understand better. They learn chassidus in the morning before davening in the yeshiva, right? So before chassidus they have coffee and cake, but you have to read Krishma before coffee and cake. Now, the Rebbe Rashab, when he writes the Seder the Bachrim, he writes that after putting on tefillin and saying Shema, then they eat cake and then they learn chassidus. That's what the Rebbe Rashab writes. Some guys do it, most guys don't do it. But what happens? You're putting on your tefillin before eating cake in the morning because you don't want to eat cake before wearing tefillin. So now you're going to wear the same tefillin for davening. So the question, how much time went by? So what some guys would do is, they would wear somebody else's tefillin in the morning. Because then for sure there's no shaila about putting on the tefillin, because it's a different pair of tefillin. I know there was a Yid, he had a relative here in the city, we'll name nameless. He lived in France. He was super fanatic. He would put on all his kids' tefillin every day and read Shema in it. He was afraid maybe his wasn't 300% kosher. So between all his kids' tefillin, he was sure, you know what it was? He would make sure they're 100%. So then al pi din, he would have to make a separate bracha on each pair of tefillin that he put on.
If you change your tzitzis during the day because it got all sweaty,
Al pi din, technically, if you wear a talis gadol, the minig is not to, but if you don't wear a talis gadol, you make a bracha on talis cotton, then yeah, halachically, if you would change your talis cotton during the day for another one, you'd have to make a new bracha. It's a different...
but even if you make a talis gadol, you should make a new bracha.
I understand, but the minig is that those who wear talis gadol, that's it. They make a bracha and that's it. They don't make a bracha on talis cotton. Even when they change Friday, let's say, or whatever.
What if you say bracha on the talis, and the talis is not kosher?
You have to say Baruch Shem Kvod Malchus Olam. It was a bracha bein. You have to put on a new talis. So over there, it's a shaila because you probably have to make you have to make a new bracha.
But you have to say Baruch Shem.
Yeah. What?
If it's close enough to the bracha, if it's like 2 hours later.
No, 2 hours later you don't say Baruch Shem. What? He doesn't make a new bracha on the tzitzis. Correct. Next, you're allowed to borrow somebody else's talis without permission. But there's certain providings. Okay? You're allowed to borrow somebody's tefillin, tefillin also. But you're allowed to borrow somebody's talis without permission. Why? Because the Gemara says there's a rule, a person is happy when people do a mitzvah with his property. In a place where there's no loss of money. For instance, in the beginning, Shechner Alter Rebbe brings down the first few simanim that svarim of somebody else you're not allowed to learn without permission. Why? Because when you learn a book, you ruin it. So that's it says you don't. But like talis, tefillin, things like that, you're allowed to borrow somebody else's talis because we assume he doesn't care that you're using. On the contrary, he's happy that you use the talis for this mitzvah. But that's I said tefillin also. But that's only though halachically if you put back the talis where and how you found it. That means, let's say the guy had a folded talis, and you're not going to put it back folded. Then the guy does mind. Or you're going to borrow it here, and it ends up in a different room. Then the guy does care. So then you go have a shaila, is it considered stolen or not? Then you made a bracha and you didn't do the mitzvah either. But normally, and by the way, except Shabbos, it's an interesting din. In Shabbos it says, what happens if I borrow somebody's talis without permission? But I can't fold the talis. You're not allowed to fold your talis on Shabbos. So then you're allowed to put it back neatly, not folded, but you're allowed to put it back in the same place where you found it because then halacha doesn't let you fold it. So then the guy understands. He's not going to be upset because he understands halacha doesn't let you fold it. But otherwise you'd have to put it back and fold it back where you found it. Okay, next thing over here. Okay, we learned already the minig is you don't cut tzitzis with a metal knife, either plastic, you bite them off. In Shechner it says you don't throw out tzitzis in a despicable place, but the minig is, in Shechner it says what you could do with the strings, I'm saying. People used to use them as bookmarks. They put them into a sefer and then like a bookmark. But the minig is to put the tzitzis themselves into shemus. The garment itself, it says you should also throw out respectfully. In other words, don't throw out in that dirty garbage. You put in a bag or something. Put in a bag and then you're allowed to throw it out. Okay. So now we were talking last week. We started the discussion. Why don't you need tzitzis on a blanket? Why don't you need tzitzis on a scarf? Why don't you need tzitzis on all these things? So the blanket we discussed already because it's basically ksus laila. It's a garment made for at night, so you don't need to put tzitzis on it. But the poskim write even a scarf. The minig is, and they write la locha, you don't have to put a tzitzis on a scarf, even though there's four four corners to the tallis. So there's a lot of reasons. Number one, they're right. Most of them don't have a shear. You need amma by an amma. And even if it is a shear, when you fold it, again, so now it's not a shear, because it's folded. And even not, the poskim right, when you put a scarf, you wear both sides in the front. A tallis, a tzitzis, is part in the front, part in the back. So you're not wearing it like a garment that would normally need tzitzis, because tzitzis is two in the front, two in the back. Two in the front, two in the back. It is the wrong way. But this is what the poskim write. Then the mitzvah, the halacha is, a minig is not. What? If you read, you read.
So
Nobody rounds the corners. What?
if there's a beged that doesn't go behind in front of you, then technically it doesn't.
According to many poskim, you wouldn't need it. Shalamesh writes, you don't need, you fold it, it's made to fold, and therefore when you fold it, it doesn't have a shear. The minig is that on scarves, you don't see people putting on tzitzis.
And also if you do like an atifa on the head, and then you also like throw it in the back. 'Cause it's a
That's
scarf.
part of the scarf.
Scarf.
No. Again, because it's not, by then it's not a shear either. It's crumpled up. It's you don't need a shear. Okay, so the Gemara says, and to finish off Hilchot Tzitzis, that if the punishment of not keeping the mitzvah tzitzis properly is very bad, and a person who is meticulous in tzitzis is zeicha v're'eh pnei hashchina, you will merit to see the shechina. So the bottom line is very important to wear tzitzis, wear them properly, wear them during the day, wear them at night, like we said, because even then you're yetzer the mitzvah tzitzis. Okay.
So if the Rebbe told somebody to sleep with the tzitzit because to be safe from heart attack, because tzitzit lamebet,
There's a lot of, one second, there's a lot of things with that. There's a lot of letters from the Rebbe. Somebody, in fact, in back to Sikha, there's a letter, that's a very short letter, that somebody asked the Rebbe that he heard, you could be made, that he heard in the Rebbe's name, you could be lenient about tzitzis at night. He didn't say not about not wearing tzitzis, he's about lenient about. The Rebbe says, I never said such a thing.
no, the Rebbe actually told
The Rebbe told there's plenty of letters. The Rebbe wanted kids from the age of 3 already, from upshurnish, when they wear yarmulke, kippah and tzitzis, that they should sleep already in the tzitzis, from the age of 3. Yes, sir.
If you have tzitzis on one baggage, you don't need tzitzis on any other body, right? Or no?
Every beggar needs a separate.
If you're wearing one pair of tzitzis and another thing is a four-corner garment, the other four-corner garment need its own tzitzis?
Sure. It's four tzitzis per garment. It's not one. Well, one pair of tzitzis doesn't feed 10 pairs.
One per family.
No, it's not one per family. It's one per beggar.
Is it true that
In fact, one second. There's an interesting machlekes in the Gemara Menachos between Rav and Shmuel about is the mitzvah on the person or the mitzvah on the garment. According to one opinion in the Gemara, if I have in my drawer a four-cornered garment in the drawer, the garment needs tzitzis even if I'm not wearing it. One opinion holds it's in the Gemara, right? That one opinion says if the garment needs to, if you have a four-cornered garment, the garment needs tzitzis whether you're wearing it or not. And the other opinion says no, it's chayv gavra. That's the halacha, that it's if you don't wear the tzitzis, you don't need it. Yeah.
Two things. The circle for the head. Sometimes they have it in a circle. Sometimes they have it with like a V.
A V-neck.
V-neck.
Yeah.
That's fashion.
The problem with that, according to the Alter Rebbe, if it's open, then it doesn't come to the shear. That's why they're much less common, those tzitzis today, than they used to be.
They're coming back.
Coming back? It's more comfortable because then if you leave it open, you could stifle your neck. And this is just more bakfem, like this, more comfortable. But according to Alter Rebbe, it could be an issue if it's not a shear, and if it's open, again, it needs to be a shear and amma this way, and amma from the thing to the bottom of the beggar. If it's open and it's open, then you're not going to have a shear amma lama in the front. The black lines.
There's different Chassidim have different lines, different groups have different lines.
It's according to Kabbalah.
I heard that Friedrich had like the Muntacher lines or something.
The Rebbe himself had different Tallisim with different lines. The Rebbe had different Tallisim. The guy you see with the Rebbe's Tallis, he came out to davening, so. But it's Kabbalistic stuff. It really doesn't. Why they make the black lines, it must have a Kabbalistic reason for it. But it's not something that really matters either way. If you have a woolen Tallis cotton with no black, sometimes they make the white lines. It's also 100% kosher. As long as it's wool, then it's kosher according to all opinions. Yeah.
Is it better if it's black versus white?
The Minig Yisrael, again, Kabbalistically, there's reasons why it should be black. Why it shouldn't. Huh?
Realistically, it's white. That's why the Rebbe folded in his black lines, because his father didn't have. I think Kabbalah, the lines are supposed to be white. And Rabbi Yosef had a Tallis without black, and Friedrich had it with black. So the Rebbe tucked under the black, because he wore like Friedrich.
Who said that's the reason?
As far as they're white.
Who says that's the reason the Rebbe did it?
They say.
No, by the way, there is a problem, by the way, but the Rebbe it wasn't like that. But sometimes you roll your Tallisim under. First of all, the reason it pushes the Gashmis, it holds better on the kapota. But sometimes if in the back it goes down and it's very narrow, that you don't have an amma, you're not Yetzitzitzis and the Tallis.